Hello, my name is Margaret Adele, and welcome to another indie book review. And this one today is all about unicorns and lesbians. That's right, I am reviewing Unicorn Hunting by AR Hellbender. This is a FF romance in a fantasy setting, all about this young woman named Cal who signs up, well, she doesn't really want to be, but she's kind of forced to sign up as a unicorn hunter. In this world, young virgin girls are signed up to be unicorn hunters, and they have to be virgins because unicorns don't approach anyone that aren't, and basically unicorns can only be seen by virgins. And that tracks kind of. Unicorn plus virgin has kind of been a standard thing throughout mythology, although I would say that I would have liked to see it be like virgins of both sexes rather than just women. But the idea was really cool, and it's all about Cal and her friends as they try to figure out why they're being asked to kill unicorns, and then also like the unicorns super aren't happy about it and they want to do something about it. And the concept is pretty solid. The concept is there. This book, however, struggles with what I've seen a lot of debut indie books struggle with, and that is racing through the plot super fast. In fact, it took me a second to figure out why it felt like this plot was just racing. It felt like the book wanted to get over with itself, if that makes sense at times. And it took me a while to figure out exactly what was contributing to that factor. One of it is a pretty big lack of descriptions, to the extent that when one character is transported to a brand new place she's never been before, the description is pretty much just, it was an unfamiliar hall. There's not a lot of very in-depth descriptions. Not that I need like giant paragraphs of exposition. My preferred form of world building is world building that is built as the character moves through it, but most of it you kind of just have to make up in your head what you think it looks like. For some reason, the fire region that they were in, I had in my head as being like Rome for some reason, probably because of the statue and the offerings they make. So the descriptions of people and places aren't really there. Most people aren't described more than their hair color, like general size and shape of people also isn't there. And so as a result, without those couple, sentences or paragraphs every so often, the actions happen naturally closer together on the page. So it feels like it goes by really fast. On top of that, the characters show remarkably little reluctance or hesitation or disbelief when new things happen. The whole book is riddled with giant revelations and secrets revealed, and whenever the character either realizes something or is asked to do something brand new, they almost always just go along with it. Or they might have like a sentence or two of hesitation and then they go on with it. Now, I don't want a complete reluctant hero. I mean, a reluctant hero as an archetype can be cool. And yes, some people by personality will just be, okay, let's do the thing. But when literally everyone is like, yes, you have just upended my worldview, but I will do the thing you were asking me to do within that same paragraph. Like, I wanted some wrestling. I wanted some angst. I wanted some, oh gosh, what am I supposed to do? This isn't what I thought the world looked like. And there wasn't a lot of that. I think I mentioned in my written review that it almost seemed like the characters knew they were in a story. They're like, yes, I need to do this because this will be the next step of the plot, rather than wrestling and I can't believe this is happening and what decision should I make type of deal. There was some nice family drama. Gotta love me some family melodrama. I know that some sapphics aren't a fan, but I actually kind of like the gay or queer character in love with the straight friend trope. It's actually one of my favorites. And so Cal's love for her longtime next door neighbor was adorable to me. But in general, when it came to the world building, their views on queer love were very strange. Because at this point, most of the time it's either there's some conservative setup or, oh no, it's same-sex love bad, or it's queer norm, which there's not as many queer norm. I need more. But in this one, it was like there was neither that, because for the most part, the society as a whole, or what was addressed in the book, didn't think it existed. Like, a character was like, what, a girl can't love a girl? And another character was like, oh no one from the city would understand. And I'm like, this is a society where you recruit 200 young women to live in the same dormitories as each other every year. And this is a new concept? Like, how well are we keeping these secrets? So it was a little strange. I think I'd almost prefer it either be just queer norm or, address homophobia rather than so sheltered they can't even imagine it exists. But the world building in general was a little bit vague and underdone at certain times. The area or the country is split up into 4 different regions, each based on a different element, and it seems like it's a religious type thing, because they say things like, oh elements, or oh air, oh fire, rather than like, oh God. So I got the general gist. You're not sure the extent of what that means for them, other than like there's this statue that they always put something, either a coin or something burnable in, and then it's all burned and that's supposed to be good luck. Like, that's the most you see of the fire religion, and you don't really get a feel for all the differences between the 4, or even just what it means to be fire in them. But the most blaring thinness in the world building was the hate crime. Over the course of the story, one of the characters' home is burnt down, and everyone's like, oh yes, it's a hate crime. And I think it was because that this fire region is devoted to fire, that I think the thinking was that their homes are already fireproof, so if a home was going to catch fire, it would have to be purposeful, I think. I think that's the logic, because the thing is that it's never brought up again. This home catches fire, everyone's like, oh yeah, hate crime, and then they move on. And the owners of the home are from the air region, but the thing is that you never see any other kind of animosity between like the air people and the fire people. Like, you never even see those characters like called a bad name or like given a weird look. And it's like, a hate crime is really far up there as far as like what would technically be religious persecution goes. There would be a ton of other signs of animosity before the literal hate crime, and it's never investigated. It's never brought up again. It's basically we need to get from point A to point B plot device, but a hate crime should never be used for that. So it comes out of nowhere. It's never really developed, and that's kind of a symptom of the world building and the plot in general. Is everything seems so we must get from point A to point B to point A to point B, that it almost feels like the book is racing through itself. Like it almost wants like be over with itself rather than enjoying the ride. That being said, there are some good bones in here, some good scaffolding. I would take the hate crime out, but the ideas and the twists and the turns and the betrayals and, certain people, turning to the dark side or discovering, or, the, again, FF romance, it could be done really well. It just, as of right now, felt a little too thin and a little too rushed. And on top of that, I wasn't necessarily the biggest fan of the protagonist, because I couldn't get a feel for what her character was. It seems like every time I turned around, she's running out of the room. She doesn't want to talk to her family, so every time like her family tries to say something, she's running out of the room constantly. She's very much avoids her problems and never addresses those problems. And I'm like, I don't want to really spoil the end of the book, but suffice to say, like, I didn't see a lot of character growth in that, because it wasn't noted in the narrative that, like, yes, her trying to escape conflict is a notable part of her character, but she could not stop running out of her own house and into the forest, always running into the forest. I just assume that this place is just surrounded on all sides by forest. But I do still like the idea of it. I do still like the idea of unicorns and lesbians. I think this as a book could be drawn out and added more depth, and it would be a fantastic, I think this is new adult. It didn't really give ages, but I'm guessing somewhere around there, a new adult story. And maybe you would like it more than me if you love unicorns and lesbians. I mean, who doesn't love unicorns and lesbians? But I believe I gave this book 2 stars. I am still on board for reading something else from AR Hellbender, but I would probably leave this one right here. If you are an indie author and you would like a review, please let me know. I will have my email down in the description below. I am still soft closed. I'm working real hard to get open again, but it is what it is. And with nothing else to say, I hope you have a wonderful day and a marvelous tomorrow.